Hello and welcome to the International Racing Series lap guide for the Autodromo de Interlagos. Coming on to the start-finish straightaway here. Making a run, carrying all the speed up to turn 1, which is a tight descending left-hander. It's important to hit the apex just right because you want to carry all that speed full throttle through the center S's. Onto this straightaway here, approaching another tight left-hander that's descending away from you. Important to carry all that momentum without drifting off on the right-hand side into the runoff area, which is very slippery. Another short run to a straightaway up with a right-hander. You want to ride the curb if possible. So keep carrying that momentum up the hill, where you have two near hairpin turns. First one to the right, second one here to the left. Again, carry the momentum uphill into yet another tight right-hander, using the curbing. The downhill left-hander, keeping it tight to set up the final turn, which is critical to carry as much speed as possible to keep that momentum running up the hill back up to the start finish. It's important to carry that momentum because if you have a car on your tail, they're going to grab a significant draft off of you. And there you have it, back into turn 1 down the center S's, and that's your lap guide for Interlagos. All right, welcome everybody to the Season 2 of the IRS GT4 Championship. It's a championship utilizing the Group 4 cars within GT Sport. However, it's limited to the mid-engine rear-wheel drive and front-engine rear-wheel drive cars in that category. No front-engine front-wheel drive or four-wheel drive vehicles are allowed in the series. You still get a pretty good selection of cars to choose from, as you'll see on track now. So let's run through your starting order. In first is Gentleman Racing. Starting second is Kaneda. Starting third, SDM Viper. Fourth, we have Willow 28. Fifth, we have Moat Power. Sixth is Lead the Iron. Seventh is SDM RRDZ, the Viper. And eighth, we have Drummer 1979, and the Jaguar. Oh, Drummer with a little issue warming the tires. As you see, the cars the first lap is a formation lap, so you essentially have a formation lap and then a 24-lap race. The settings are 2x on the tire wear and 3x on fuel consumption. So essentially, you're going to force one pit stop. I don't think we'll see anyone throughout the season running a 2-stop strategy. It just wouldn't make sense. They'd have to have a significant advantage in lap times to make something like that work. But strategy will still come into play. The available tires are the Racing Softs and Racing Mediums. So it should be interesting, to say the least. The cars are, for race 1, we're going to be utilizing the in-game balance of performance. So those power and weight numbers given to us by Gran Turismo Sport And then what happens is, depending on where the drivers finish. If they were to finish first, second, or third on the podiums, let's say, the first position finisher will get some success ballast. They'll get 3 percentage points of weight added for the subsequent race. The power numbers never get adjusted. Those are fixed. They'll stay the same throughout the season. So whatever the BOP is, it'll be kept there. And here we see now the drivers coming up, forming the grid. The pole position driver gets to select what side of the track to start on. They don't necessarily conform with what the game does. So here we go. Should be starting up soon here. I'm going to shut off these name markers. Gentleman Racing takes advantage into turn 1 of his pole position. But Viper's looking racy. Oh yes, he's sniffing around. And immediately jumps to the outside through the center S's onto the back straight. And with the horsepower and torque advantage, jumps into the lead. Not even a third of the way through lap 1. Oh, tight. But he secures it. Gets it done. Gentleman Racing is going to have to settle in and pursue. In third, we got another Viper. Looks like the McLaren is sandwiched by Vipers. In fourth, we've got Let the Iron. Let the Iron's going to be a competitor to watch in this series. Very speedy, and we'll see if he uses that Cayman to good effect. Already by Willow, and off in pursuit of the third place Viper. So we got Willow in 5th. He's got a little bit of a gap to the next NSX in Kaneda, 6th place. We got Mo Power in the Mustang, staying close to Kaneda. And Drummer in the Jaguar at the tail end of the field, picking up a penalty. Let's get back to the front. Oh, Viper. Viper's got a good 4 or 5 car length lead already. He's looking to take off on the field, I guess, and secure that position. A little lag for Viper. Kind of dancing his way through the turn there. Gentleman Racing keeping it close for the twisty stuff. Looks like he's got a little bit of a handling advantage. Still, that torque and horsepower is going to be tough to contend with, especially with the in-game DLP set as it is. But as we mentioned, leading up to the start of the race, drivers will accrue success ballast, and it'll be interesting to see how they manage that. It's important to note as well that although drivers accrue success ballast, you don't just keep picking up. The maximum you can accrue in this series is 5%. So if you pick up 3% for a win in race 1, and then you're still doing well and pick up another, say, 2 points, that's it. You're maxed out on ballast. You cannot pick up any more. But also on the flip side, if you were to finish off the podium in successive races, you would lose. You would have that 1% of added weight, 1 percentage point of added weight taken off your total. So you could finish off the podium, say in race 3, if you picked up 5 percentage points in the first 2 races. You would then drop down to a 4% ballast, success ballast, to kind of keep drivers in the running. What we saw in season 1 is that it did in fact impact the car's performance. Tire wear was a little more significant. Overall pace, top speed was affected. Another thing that's important to note is that tuning is prohibited in this series. The organizers felt the cars were balanced enough as it is, and we kind of wanted to leave it to race management and overall driving skill rather than inject tuning into the mix. There's already enough going on with the ballast and all that. Oh, and here we have Gentleman Racing. Sticking close. Who's in third? And there it is. Led the iron apparently at some point has gotten by RRDZ, and he's looking to catch up to the leaders. He's running 138.6 thus far, so, and he's already a half a second up on his best. Looks like with some clear air, he may be able to close in on the leaders. Excuse me. It's important to note too, this is not a live broadcast. It's a re-live broadcast of sorts, so we're just working off the replay. So a lot of the features, if you broadcast during a race that GT Sport has, a lot of those features are unavailable. So we'll just have to make do what we can. Unable to see the gaps between drivers. Let's go through the rest of the field. RRDZ seems to have picked up a penalty. Penalties are on week, by the way, in case you're wondering. I'm sorry for kind of having to throw in the details of how the events work as I go along, but it's kind of an amateurish production here, so just bear with me. And if you're enjoying, or if you enjoy the race at the end of the broadcast, it'd be nice if you threw a like, maybe threw us a subscription. We'll see, we're just a one-man operation starting up. But we're trying the best we can. Hopefully the sound quality is good. We'll have to test it afterwards. Willow, he's got 5th place secured. Mo Power really wrangling that Mustang, which is impressive. The car is on tracks like this with its heavy weight and high horsepower, can be a handful at times. But he's hanging in there. He's doing a very nice job. Kaneda in the NSX, a very competitive car. And we found out recently that Kaneda has made quite a transitioning from the DS4 to a Logitech G29. So certainly some adjustment time, but most impressive. The field was originally much larger, but we had some technical issues with cars glitching at the start of the race. So it's something that series organizers are going to have to work on, and they do take seriously. So apologies to the competitors who couldn't seem to get into the race because of the glitching issues, but hopefully we'll resolve that. And nevertheless, the series does have a 1, and it may get moved up to 2 drop races, so they won't be put at too severe a disadvantage. Besides the fact that when they do come back, if we're able to iron those issues out, well, guess what? You won't have any ballast, so you'll have a real competitive advantage over the drivers that do compete in this race, despite losing out on points. So hopefully you stick with us and come back. And again, apologies for the technical issues. But we've got 8 racers, and up front we got quite an interesting battle. Little by little we've got led the iron, sure enough, reeling the leaders in. Maybe they were battling, or maybe he's just that much faster. Yeah, we think he's just that much faster. Really, really strong in the Cayman. Let's see if we can't take a look on board. And there you see it, right into turn 1, he closes the gap in. The Viper a little squirrely, can't tell if that's lag or maybe he's suffering some tire wear. Little by little, he's got the fastest lap, sub 138. Just a tick under the 138. See what kind of lap times the leaders are. Yeah, and Viper with a penalty, he's just gonna keep trucking. They're on weak, so at some point, possibly with an error or a lockup, little by little, you start to chip away at that penalty. But there's definitely no benefit in trying to lift and coast to get rid of that penalty when you got two quick drivers behind you. And it has to be said, it's an interesting mix of cars. The Viper being pursued, two mid-engine cars with a little bit less horsepower, and you have to think that it's attributed to the infield here at this track. It's just so tight and twisty. Those cars can just carry a little bit more speed. One, two, three through the center S. It's just, thank you Polyphony Digital for this just amazing looking game. Oh, and look at Gentleman Racing looking to find the inside or the outside. And Viper going defensive. That's going to let the iron pull right up. Look at these drivers, just hammer and tong, just going at it on lap 8. As we mentioned earlier, they're going to have to stop. And again, another element I neglected to mention earlier, the racers start. Oh, there goes Led up into second. It looks like Gentleman Racing's not going to fight it. Maybe thinking he'll let Led take a few shots at Viper and maybe pounce if the opportunity presents itself. Let's see if we can get a view of what Viper's seeing in his rear view mirror here. Oh my. Yep. And he hasn't burnt a smidgen of that half-second penalty off. Going too wide, Gentleman Racing not wanting to manage and stay behind. I don't think anyone's trying to do any fuel saving here. And you may not be able to see it, but I still debate showing people's onboard telemetry. I think it's kind of a little invasion of people's driving privacy. But I may have put an overlay so you can't see it. But I'll tell you now that there's some significant front wear on the front tires for Viper. These Vipers, they tend to chew up tires and fuel pretty well. So interesting to see how he manages it. Let's get the wing cam view of Led. Right, and so I'm seeing it, but tire wear is not as significant as what Viper's experiencing, and Gentleman Racing has even less tire wear. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but significant enough. Yeah, getting on to about lap 8. And kudos to Led. He's starting in 6th position. Already up here. Not looking too racy. Maybe thinking about an over or undercut of these other two drivers here. And certainly not letting Gentleman Racing get back in. Oh boy, yeah. There you see it, where the advantage of the mid-engine cars, at least for these drivers, through the center S is right up on Viper. Viper going defensive. Initially defensive, and then back to the racing line. Not really a problem. It's not as if he had someone alongside, so that's his prerogative to do that. Always risky, but handled well there. Oh, and it's looking like Gentleman Racing got a little competitive there alongside Led up the hill. But he backs off. Oh, there we have it. Side by side through the twisties. It's always difficult as, well, I like to be the chasing driver, to be honest, but it's always difficult as a chasing driver because you want to show intent, but it's not always possible, so you try a little trickery, try alternate lines, and so on and so forth, whatever your car and setup allows. Again, this is a stock setup because tuning is prohibited, but the settings for when you go offline in this championship series are set to real. Some would argue that they don't really notice any difference if you go offline, but I seem to notice it. I don't know if there's a difference between DS4 users and wheel users, but I definitely notice a difference when I get into the marbles. Oh, there's Gentleman Racing again, getting racing, trying to get alongside, maybe to make a move into the left-hander. No, thinks better of it. A little bit of lockup on Led there, a little puff of smoke. It has to be said, Viper's doing a heck of a job managing it. What are we on? 6 laps of this close action here? Little lag on Viper. Doesn't seem he lost control there, but the game's representing it like that. But it's just lag, I assure you. If you're a fan of the SRT Viper, don't worry. It's running strong. Yeah, and it seems as though Led's just managing the gap, keeping it close. Gentleman Racing, again, inside. Thinking of a move into 1. Is he? Little lockup. Oh, but Led holds it. A little contact. Little argy-bargy. And look at Gentleman Racing. Goes off the racing line. No, can't carry the momentum. My apologies. I want to give you more info about the series and where it's hosted and who's hosting it, but the action is just too tight. Why don't we take a break and check out the rest of the field? Feel like we're neglecting it, and we've got a nice battle for 4th here. 3 cars in relatively close proximity. RRDZ holding down 4th. Willow carrying a penalty, but you know, it doesn't make any sense to try to get rid of that penalty in a race like this where you're just battling close. You have to try and hope that it just naturally wears down over the course of the race. So battling for 4th between RRDZ, Willow, and Mo Power. Not as intense as the leaders up front, which we're getting back to now. Viper still with the penalty. Perhaps he's going to carry it into the pit. And Led on lap 12 dives into the pit. Viper and Gentleman left to continue going at it. Led the iron, fueling up. Team's got to wait. Can't fuel and change tires. Oh, they did the tires. Looks like he took a fresh set of softs. 72 liters of fuel. Oh, Gentleman Racing makes a move on the downhill left-hander on Viper. A little lag there. There's not that much contact actually going on. Oh. So interesting that Gentleman Racing chooses that place to make the pass, knowing that he's a little quicker in the infield, and the Viper's gonna potentially struggle to keep pace through the infield. But he's got to stretch that gap, because once they get on the straightaway, the torque and horsepower of that Viper is enough to reel him in. So let's see. Will these drivers pit? Is Gentleman Racing thinking of the overcut? I can tell you this. Fuel is not looking good for either one of these drivers, so you may see them come in. And indeed we do. So let's see, where's Lead? Oh. And it looks like Lead's gonna have a significant advantage after the pit stops. Car's very good on fuel. So as I mentioned earlier, in this series, Lead is gonna be the car to watch. Combining pace with that kind of fuel savings, forget it. Oh, bumper to bumper. Oh, and they're practically, they were practically Siamese twins there. It looks like that move that Gentleman Racing made on the in-lap has paid off, but Viper's not giving up. He's right on him. So let's see on the right-hander. Too wide. Oh, a little contact. Nobody's too upset. Still too wide. Too wide through here. But Gentleman Racing has to think better of it and just let Viper go. We got Willow is in the lead, but has not pitted yet. Still doing really well on fuel. And Lead, the iron, with about a 6-second lead on second and third place. It's like Vipers burned off a smidgen of that penalty, or possibly picked up another penalty after serving that half second that he had during his pit stop. Oh, Drummer, off-track excursion. Really going at it. In season 1, these two drivers, which was not broadcast. Season 1 was not broadcast except for one race at Brands Hatch, but these drivers late in season 1 were really battling. And we see that they're carrying it on here in season 2, race 1. Lead already in the hairpin, and about 4 or 5 seconds back, we have Gentleman Racing, who makes it by Viper yet again. We missed it. I gotta work on my camera work, guys. You know, feel free to let me know how I did in the comments. You don't have to be nice, but don't be too mean. Again, if you're enjoying the race, please like, maybe subscribe. We're gonna try to cover these races day after they happen in as timely a fashion as possible, real life commitments permitting. Let's take a check at the rest of the field. Fourth, we've got Willow being chased by RRDZ and his Viper. So this battle for fourth has spread out quite a bit here. It looks like Willow may have benefited from the fuel savings that the NSX provides. RRDZ in 5th. Again, low power in 6th. Kanita 7th. Drummer in 8th. Let's get back to that battle for 2nd place. Viper is back on Gentleman Racing. With looks like 9 laps to go here. So this could carry on for quite some time here through the end of this race. I mean, these two cars, the McLaren and the Viper, couldn't be any more opposite. Engine layout, aspiration, both beautiful cars, it must be said. But the different competencies throughout the course of the lap for these cars really makes for an interesting race, with the Viper having a straight line advantage and the McLaren having a little bit of an advantage in the more twisty technical stuff. It'll be interesting to see who prevails here in this 2nd position. You really don't think, barring a mistake from Led the Iron, you really don't think they're going to be catching him. That pit stop advantage was just too large. Yeah, so barring any mistake by Led or maybe an error in fueling the car and running out of fuel at the end of the race, we don't suspect that he's going to be giving up 1st position. Which brings me to scoring. Scoring for the series is as follows. So 1st place scores 25 points. 2nd place scores 20 points. 3rd, 18, and then there's a 2-point differential going all the way down to the end of the field. So a win in this series is significant in the sense that you get an additional 5 points. There are also points awarded for fastest lap and pole position. Prior to the races, there's a 20-minute qualifying session with the fuel and tire wear settings as they would be in the race. So it's certainly an advantage to come in, run the full 20 minutes and get the fuel down, maybe throw some tires on it and go for a flyer towards the end of qualifying. That way you have burned off some fuel and get a fresh set on. Try to squeeze out the best lap possible. And again, apologies to the competitors who had planned to race but couldn't due to the glitch we suffered during the race start, where drivers off the grid were not able to be in control of the cars. It's really unfortunate because we had a grid of 13 drivers that got cut down significantly by that. So we're going to work on that this week to try to see if we can address that issue. It's possibly a conflict between people within the lobby because the host has a strong direct internet connection. So if anybody out there wants to throw up something in the comments to help us out with that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Coming up on the end of lap 18, and Gentleman Racing and Viper still at it. Gentleman Racing able to stay in front. And hold on to that 2nd position. Viper with a little bit of a lockup. It shows you how hard these guys are pushing. The race lengths in this series are done by lap count, so the races vary between know, a little more than 40 minutes and just under 50 minutes. Again, with a pit stop that's gonna have to be taken because they start with 75 liters of fuel, or 75% of the fuel capacity, and tire wear at 2x and fuel consumption at 3x. I say 3x, is it 3 times or times 2? You know what I mean. So it's not anything severe. You know, you're not gonna, as the race goes on, you don't get crippled like in some of these sport mode races with the, you know, 8x and 10x wear and consumption, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, I get that they want to force. Oh, Gentleman Racing goes wide. Looks like Viper was sympathetic to that move, so he may have gone wide as well. Picked up a 9/10 of a second penalty. Let's see. And so did Gentleman Racing, picks up a half-second penalty. So Gentleman Racing gets lucky there. Although, here comes Viper. Maybe make a move inside. Oh, just not enough room. Gentleman Racing squeezes him. A little argy-bargy there, a little tap from Viper. Saying, no, 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 you gotta leave room. Really just racing circumstances, nothing that we would penalize anyone for. Just good hard racing. You can see Led in that previous shot, camera angle. You can see him with his maintaining that 5 to 4 second gap to these guys with 5 laps to go. Gentleman Racing keeping it tight, doing the twisty stuff, leaving no gap, seemingly driving paranoid. If you're new to the channel and you stuck with us this far, you might as well wait to see how it ends. And then maybe give us a like, maybe subscribe. We don't have a lot of content, but there's more coming. And so here Viper tries to get as best of the launch as possible, knowing that between the horsepower advantage and the slipstream, you can maybe pull it in, maybe pull Gentleman Racing a little closer. Viper runs a little wide, gets the tires dirty. Let's keep an eye on him. And he's got the front end just, he's got a little push here from as a result of some of the tire wear he's suffering. Now I know you can't see it because I've got it blocked with an overlay, but I can see fuel and tire condition. But like I mentioned earlier, I don't want to invade driver's privacy, so I'm gonna cover that up for the time being with an overlay. It takes a little bit of post-production, but in the end it's worth it. Gentleman Racing managing the tires well, and Led's just on cruise control, putting down 38s. And mid to low 30. Oh, bust out a 39. But not to worry. Gentleman Racing's got his hands full, just trying to hold Viper at bay. Not really a factor with 3 laps left. Looks like Led's going to secure this victory. Well done. Ooh, a little ghosting there. Tactics? I doubt it. So, still 9/10 of a second penalty on Viper. Half a second penalty on Gentleman Racing. And Lead just driving impeccably. No lap traffic. Willow. Little penalty, but maintaining the gap. Running in the 39s. RRDZ fluctuating in the 39s. Maintaining his gap. And Mo Power. Looks like he had a rough lap 19 there. But also in the 38s and 39s. Kaneda. A good showing. A good showing for somebody who just switched to the wheel. Impressive. This series will certainly make that adjustment to the wheel happen a lot quicker. It's nothing better than racing. You know, the best practice is actually racing. That's what we say here at the Gentleman Sim Racing channel. So just to cover the series, it's hosted on GT Planet, gtplanet.com, in the Gran Turismo Sport League Racing forums. And it's backed by an organization of racers and race organizers that go by the name the International Racing Series. A little bit of a misnomer on the name. It's not one series. It's an organization of drivers who host numerous series throughout the week. Varied events, Group 3 events, this GT4, which is a Group 4 event, and several others. I'll try to put a link in the description. I will put a link in the description, just bear with me. Like I said, it's a one-man show, the broadcast at this point. So a little post-production is necessary. We're streaming right off of the PS4, so we have to do some editing on the YouTube channel as soon after as possible so the viewers get the full dose of information. So Lead, first place. A little over a lap and a half to go. Gentleman Racing, second. Viper in third. May have had an off or an issue because Willow has now closed in and is looking to get on the podium. He's looking for some success ballast, I guess. Viper's got significant tire wear on the front right-hand tire. Let's see how. Yeah, Willow's tires look good. It'd be interesting to see if he's got anything for Viper here. And what'll be more interesting to see is race 2, because if they finish as they are, Lead's gonna pick up 3 percentage points of additional weight on the car with no adjustment to his power. Gentleman Racing will pick up 2 percentage points of increased weight as a reward for his success. And Viper, if he can hold off Willow here, will pick up 1 percentage point of additional weight on the car. Again, with no adjustment to power. This is race 1, so the balance of performance is turned on. And so for throughout the rest of the season, it'll have to be shut off, and race organizers will have to verify that people have their cars properly set up in terms of power and weight. All of this is posted in the thread, so here we are, final lap. Let's ride with Lead. We'll lock up in the rear. Might be an indicator to us what he's doing with the Brake balance. Maybe not. It's coming up on Drummer. Drummer in 1979. In 8th. See the blue flags waving for Drummer. Flag rules are on. There you have it. Your race winner. Ledby Iron. Second place. Burning off his penalty. Gentleman Racing. Looks like Viper. Yes, Viper will hold off Willow. Willow in 4th. RRDZ being pursued by Mo Power in 5th. Mo Power 6th. Kaneda. Looks like Kaneda will lock in 7th. And we're going to have Drummer in 8th. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying with us. If you did, if you enjoyed the race, please hit the like button. Maybe subscribe. Race 2 is next week. These races go down on Monday night. And the next track will be Blue Moon Bay. Thanks for joining us for the IRS GT4 Championship, hosted on GT Planet, presented by the International Racing Series. See you on track.